Hello and welcome to Honey Island Swamp Tours, our continuing deep delve where we pay the late fees so you don't have to. I'm your host, Patrick J. Blanchard, and with me, as ever, on this quest through deep delving into genre franchise is
Matthew J. Blanchard, the other half of the Brothers Blanchard. So here we are, and this is our third deep dive in a row. We have taken you through Camp Crystal Lake. We have taken you down Elm Street, and now we are taking you deep into the heart of the swamp with a movie that you may or may not be familiar with. Because frankly, let's be honest, the previous two franchises are two of the most well-known horror franchises in the world.
Yes.
This one, not so much.
No,
So what are we talking about here? What is this?
This is Hatchet.
Hatchet. Yes.
It's from a director called Adam Green.
Yes, indeed.
I picked this one, folks.
Yes, you did. I wouldn't have.
Mainly because I feel a connection with Adam Green. I really like this guy, and this is his franchise.
Right. Yeah. I love Adam Green. I do. I love Holliston, which is his horror sitcom, which we may talk about because it connects here and there throughout. But the franchise here doesn't grab me like it grabs you.
It grabs me because I discovered it at a certain point in my life.
Right.
I didn't discover it when it came out. There was this period back in 2011 where, folks, I was recovering from open heart surgery.
Right.
Getting a little deep here. And through that time period, I found the Hatchets. And then Holliston. It was like a 1, 2, 3 combo. And then I discovered Adam Green himself. He and I are the same age.
Right.
He's literally like 3 months older than me.
Yes, indeed.
He went to a college that plays my college in basketball.
So it's possible that you and Adam Green were at the same place at the same time at some point. Unless, of course, what you're saying is that you never went and saw a basketball game, and neither did he. So
well, Hofstra, they didn't play until we were alumni.
Right. Okay.
But it's he managed to graduate on time. I did not.
Right.
And then I discovered he is one of the first 4 celebrities who tweeted back to me.
Oh, wait, you've had 4 celebrities tweet back at you?
That was all in one day too.
Oh wow. Well, see, you're better at the Twitter thing than I am, I
well,
guess.
But the reason why I can't
responds to me.
I can't remember which one was first.
Who were the other 3?
Joe Lynch, Corey English, and Laura Ortiz.
Oh, so the cast of Holliston.
Yes.
Okay. I presume then that it was a tweet about Holliston.
It was about the Christmas special.
Gotcha.
And actually, it was 4 tweets about the Christmas special.
Okay. And each one replied to a different tweet?
Each one replied to the tweet.
Fair enough.
That I tweeted them.
For those of you who do not know who any of these people are, Joe Lynch is a director in his own right and is the co-star of Holliston, plays the character of Joe. They all have the same names. He guests in this franchise twice. Directed, Knights of Badassdom.
Yes.
Which is it's a movie about role-playing games. It's a LARP movie.
Yep.
That's a little more seriously takes LARP live action role play a little bit more seriously than, say, Role Models. Laura Ortiz is an actress. She was in what remake was The Hills Have Eyes remake that she was in?
Yes.
Corey English is an actress as well, but she's also the front man for the country music act. What is it?
Broke Down Cadillac.
Broke Down Cadillac. Yes.
She also was on an episode of The Creek where she did not, as you know, folks, we love The Creek here, and I'll bring it up.
It always comes back to Dawson's Creek.
Like, she did not sell Jack a ticket to prom because Jack was gay.
Yes. Poor Jack did not get a ticket to the prom.
But
from
all four of them tweeted me back the same day, and I that was when I decided to stick with them. They're my people.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And all of that starts with this movie, with Hatchet, which is Adam Green's kind of love letter to basically the kind of movies we started this off
Yes.
about. And it very much is in the vein of a Friday film.
I tend to think of the Hatchets as Friday the 13th on anabolic steroids.
Yes. Yes. So Adam Green wanted to be a filmmaker,
Yes.
and he had a story to tell. And the interesting thing about that story, the story of Victor Crowley, what becomes Hatchet, there's something unique about that. Why don't you tell us what that is?
Well, from what he said and what I've heard is he came up with this story when he was a kid,
Right.
watching Friday the 13th. He was at camp and somebody asked to tell a scary story, and he told a scary story about Victor Crowley in the swamp. And it stuck with him. And he's a huge horror fan, and he started out telling a much different story than Hatchet. It was a very personal story.
Right.
He got out of college and went to work for a local cable station and used the equipment that he was making commercials with on his off time to shoot a movie.
Yep. With his sort of coworker at the studio, Will Barrett.
Will Barrett.
Which it's the plot of the movie he ends up making, and which kind of gets rejiggered into the plot of Holliston.
Yes.
And cyclically, what happens on the show Holliston is that Joe and Adam, the two filmmakers who are using the gear at their cable access station, run by Lance Rocket, who is, let's face it, the greatest Van Halen cover act lead singer ever, played by Dee Snider. What they end up doing is they make a trailer for the movie that they're going to make, because there's not a lot of traction for Adam's film. I mean, it hits some festivals, but it doesn't launch his career.
It gets optioned by UPN as a series, which
And
then folds into the CW.
Right. But then doesn't lead anywhere.
No, it gets caught up in development hell, as it were. And while that's going on, Adam has moved from the East Coast.
Yep.
That's another thing. We're East Coast guys.
Yep.
And he moves out to California, and he's not getting traction. He's doing all sorts of production work. He went to his degree is for TV production. So he's doing all sorts of work. He's DJing, and he gets it in his mind that he's going to tell this horror story, this Hatchet, and to get funding, he's going to make a trailer for a movie that doesn't exist.
Exactly. So he makes he crowdfunds the completion of the film based on this trailer.
Yeah.
And the trailer is for Hatchet, and it takes a while once all the funds are secured to deliver the movie. But what we get is a jam-packed. I want to give it some credit, but I want to be fair to what it is. Minimalist horror movie.
Well, it firmly established Adam at the time as a part of this new group in horror that was going around called the Splat Pack.
Yes, the Splat Pack.
I remember reading about it, and I thought, that's just silly.
It is silly. It really is.
The thing that separates this movie from a lot of those movies, at the time, because we were hip deep in torture porn.
Yes.
There is a humor, a lightheartedness in this that doesn't exist in the grim and gritty horror of the time that it came out.
Well, because what he really does here is while he is creating a splatter movie that is in the same vein as the splatter movies of the time, he's hearkening back to the splatter movies of the 80s.
Yep.
Which means that he has to include certain things, and he ticks those boxes off throughout the film.
Yep.
Gratuitous nudity, check. Unrealistic bullshit kills that aren't necessarily... they're gory, but they're not realistic. They don't feel like they could actually happen. Check. Big check.
Big check.
Big check.
He at one point...
People getting ripped open end to end. Big check.
He had some issues throughout the series with the MPAA.
Yeah. Oh, and no fucking doubt.
His response is, "Come on, guys! Like, this could really happen. Come on! There's no way that this could actually happen to a body. This is cartoon violence. This is Tom and Jerry.
Clearly. Holy shit, is none of this realistic?
Interesting note about the location shoot, because it was shot in California and New Orleans.
Yes.
Did not shoot as much in New Orleans as other ones.
No, definitely.
But
you can tell. But
this was the last movie shot before Katrina.
Yes, that's true. That is true. So, shall we dive right in? I feel like we've very, very thoroughly delved into the plot lines of the Friday movies and of the Nightmare movies. I don't think there's a lot of plot line to cover in this, because it really is an 80s slasher style laundry list of kills. You set up a scenario, and then it's just a ticking clock to get to the final kill.
Even more so than the Fridays, which are exemplative of it. This is more the other slashers.
Right. Yeah.
And
it's even it's even less plot centric than most of those 80s movies. It's like Adam looked at the formula and went, what people really want here is they want to get to the kills. So let's get to the kills.
Yes.
And he does. He really does. He sets up a scenario, particularly in this film.
Yes.
There's a little more plot in Hatchet 2, and yet more in Hatchet 3. But most of it in both of those movies is at the front end of the movie. And then it's just, this is the situation. Oh, I bumped my mic. And then it's just, this happens, boom, 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 death. These people have to get here, death. Which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying that that's like, anathema to me as a viewer. I'm just saying, like, there's not a lot of progression.
It's a roller coaster.
Exactly. It's not a narrative. It's a roller coaster.
And like the first 30 minutes of each movie is the start of that roller coaster, when you are climbing.
Exactly.
And then it hits and you are on a ride. And that's the Hatchet movies. And once the ride starts, there's no getting off.
Well, I mean, you can.
I mean, you can stop it, but but
you could. I did when I first watched it way back. What was it? 2010 when I first saw it too. I believe it was Sci-Fi when I first saw it. I didn't make it through. It was changed the channel.
It was on Netflix when I watched it.
Gotcha.
The first time.
Gotcha. Okay. So to start with, we establish something in the opening of the movie that is going to carry us through the entire franchise. We establish that Adam Green is going to populate this movie with as many cameos as he can.
Yes.
He reaches out to well-known genre actors and just, he doesn't pepper them in. He fucking throws them into his films. So much so that when we get to the second movie, a role needed to be recast, and it was recast with a horror icon.
Yes.
So it's just it's the nature of these movies is to take horror icons and put them in different scenarios, which is fun. It's a neat thing.
It is.
It earns Adam a lot of goodwill with fans who don't necessarily like the style of his movie, but like it as a celebration of horror movies, which is that's kind of me basically. And it's great, and it starts right off the bat with Robert Englund himself, right where we left off. Robert Englund versus basically Jason Voorhees. Only it's the Jason Voorhees. It's Kane fucking Hodder.
Yes.
Kane Hodder will play Victor Crowley in all 4 films. Thank God. He's excellent as this character. And the first person he kills, well, actually, yeah, the first person he kills is Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger, who is Robert Englund playing Samson Dunstan, who is gator hunting.
Yes.
With his son Ainsley.
I like the fact that the second person he kills is Joshua Leonard.
Yes, that's what I was about to say. Ainsley, who is Josh Leonard from the Blair Witch Project.
It's like, in some ways, Victor Crowley, Adam Green through Victor Crowley, is killing the biggest horror performer of the 90s.
Yes, and the biggest horror performer of the 80s.
Yep.
Together. Boom. Put him in a boat, kill him off. And who did it? Victor Crowley. But Victor Crowley, who is, in fact, again, the most iconic Jason Voorhees, which is something that Adam Green will play on that fact a lot as this franchise develops. So the very first thing that happens is that Samson and Ainsley are hunting gator. And Ainsley has to pee, so they pull the boat over so that he can get off to pee.
Because he doesn't want to pee off of the boat.
Because he doesn't want to pee off the boat. Now, it's totally understandable. And we learn throughout the course of the franchise that what they're doing is sort of verboten. Because they are hunting gator in Honey Island Swamp, which is off limits.
It's off limits.
It's off limits, and we will find out why it's off limits. But these guys, they're doing this to kind of... to horn in on territory that nobody else is fishing, nobody else is hunting in. But it gets mythologized a lot more as the franchise goes on, so it's worth calling out.
Yes.
So Ainsley goes off to pee, and when he comes back, Samson's already dead. And then Ainsley gets killed too. And then we have what is the sort of typical opening of a Hatchet movie. Hard metal, like speed metal, just with a montage of shit behind it. In this particular case, hello, we have a special guest star right now. My cat is wandering around, sniffing microphones. So what we get is this industrial metal opening with hard cuts of Mardi Gras to establish that this is all taking place during Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Yes.
And we get the sort of first of 3 cameos that happen in each of the 3 movies in succession from Adam Green. And Adam Green is playing a character who is in this group of friends who has come to Mardi Gras to kind of cheer up their friend Ben. Ben, played by Joel David Moore. It's Adam Green, 2 other guys I don't recognize. Dion Richmond from The Cosby Show, ostensibly, and Scream 3.
And Scream 3.
And Joel David Moore is Ben. And Ben doesn't... They brought him to Mardi Gras to cheer him up, but he doesn't really want to, experience Mardi Gras. That's not what he wants. He wants to go on this haunted swamp tour.
Well, it seems to me like they've been there a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
and
definitely.
he's tired of
it.
Mardi Gras.
Yeah. But the only reason I'm calling this out is because we get to chart Adam Green's progress through Mardi Gras across the next 3 movies.
I know.
And it's fun.
It's fun, and it's so brief. And it has one of the greatest in-movie jokes in number 3.
In number 3, but we'll get there. So yeah, Ben wants to go off on this tour.
No, nobody else does. Everybody's like, this is Mardi Gras. This is boobies.
Right.
That is Marcus's theme.
Yes.
Why are we going out there when the ladies are here? But Ben has heard about this tour.
Yes.
And he needs to take it.
Yes, he does. And take it he shall. He's running away from the group no matter what. So Marcus, Dion Richmond's character, goes with him because he recognizes that he's going anyways. Like whatever, somebody has to go with him.
Yes.
And they go to the first shop where they think they can get this tour. And it is the shop of Reverend Zombie. Reverend Zombie's voodoo shop. Voodoo. Reverend Zombie, who is the third, Josh Leonard, third, the horror cameo in this movie. Fourth if you count Dion Richmond. But, I mean, he was in Scream 3.
Yeah.
I don't count him.
Magic.
You're getting ahead of yourself, sir. That's Scream 2. I mean, that's Hatchet 2, not Scream 2.
I know, but it's just
I know.
He's so Tony Todd Candyman.
Yes.
The voice.
The voice, yes.
And
gave it away. We were building to it. Reverend Zombie is Tony Todd. And Tony Todd is great in this. If you just watch this movie, there's almost no reason to expect that he's going to come back in number 2.
Nope.
Because he's playing this hilariously insurance-focused character who wants to make sure people don't slip on his street. He doesn't do swamp tours anymore because the insurance got too much. Because somebody,
it's great. This is a whole story that it's involved in everything, and you think like it has something to do with the killings that started the movie. And finally, he just drops and everything goes, because the insurance got too high. Because somebody slipped and hit their head, and they're suing me.
Yep. So and you're like, that was it? That was it?
That was...
Huh?
What?
Now, what we later find out is that Adam Green had planned out sort of the arc of Victor Crowley through Hatchets 1, 2, and 3. And knew that if there was a number 2 and he got to make it, Reverend Zombie was an important character.
Yes.
So, see if we can get Tony Todd, because Tony Todd's fucking awesome. And if we get a second one, we have Tony Todd in that role, and it's amazing. So, I will credit him with a lot of forethought like that.
Yes.
Like, that's really incredible forward thinking. But it just makes for a hilarious moment in this movie. Because you're like, Tony Todd just, that's it? That's why he doesn't do swamp tours anymore? He's just, somebody's suing him? And he makes sure, as he points them to a place they might go to get a swamp tour, like, don't slip! Watch where you walk! It's like, oh, God.
Because it's Mardi Gras, and there's puke everywhere,
right.
and don't fall in front of my shop!
And it's brilliant. It is brilliant. But they end up going to the shop that he pointed them toward, which is, which one is that?
Marie Laveau,
yes,
House
Marie
of
Laveau's
Voodoo.
House of Voodoo. Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo, where they interact with a tour guide named Sean. Sean, who is... and... Well, he's just an interesting character.
He is. He's
played by Perry Shen, who is the star of the franchise, if you will.
Yes, but you don't realize it till you hit number 4.
I disagree. I feel like you figure out that Perry Shen is the secret weapon of this franchise in number 3.
Well, see, the secret weapon, but not the star.
Oh, yeah, true. So Sean, the tour guide, is instantly, obviously, not what he seems.
Yes.
Like he does a terrible Cajun accent.
Oh God, so bad.
It's so bad, and you're like, wow, Perry Shen doesn't know how to do an accent. And then, as the tour progresses, because we're not going to hit all the plot elements. Really, this is the setup. This is it. Like, we're about to be at the sort of the end of the plot really quickly here. As the tour progresses, his accent drops a few times.
Yes.
And suddenly he's very obviously Chinese.
And then sounds like he's got some Irish in there.
Yep.
Which is commented on by one of the characters.
Yes. And even that, we find out later, is also bullshit.
Yes.
Because really, he's just a normal dude who's doing swamp tours.
He's from Detroit.
He's
His
from
brother
Detroit.
got him a job.
And it's like the layers, the onion on this character are so fucking fun. But he is indeed the tour guide who will take these guys out into Honey Island Swamp with a myriad list of interesting characters.
Myriad list of you've got Shapiro.
Yes. Doug Shapiro, who is Joel Murray.
I still will always think of him as Pete from Dharma and Greg.
Say, I always think of him from One Crazy Summer. That's where I go with Joel Murray. Joel Murray, who, in case you didn't know, folks, is related to Bill Murray. Some people don't know that.
Well, he unlike Brian Doyle Murray, he doesn't look or sound like Bill.
Right. But some people don't recognize that Joel Murray is Bill Murray's.
I was surprised when I found out.
Right. That's why I share. And Doug Shapiro is a pornographer. Making a Girls Gone Wild style movie with Misty and Jen. Misty, who is Mercedes McNabb from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Jen, who is Jolie Fiore. Fiore, I think that's right.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
But that's not even her ongoing credit. She changes that. That's what she went by in this movie.
Right.
That happens a couple times in this movie where somebody changes their credit after this movie is done. And Misty is this airhead, a typical Mercedes McNabb character.
She's totally from the Valley.
And Jen is an East Coast educated, better than that stripper. And the two of them are constantly butting heads.
She went to NYU and studied drama.
She did. Yes. She went to NYU. That's a joke that comes up later, but I don't I don't think we're going bit by bit like we have the other movies. So it turns out even that's a lie. Everyone's in on the lies in this movie.
Well, see
it's a great reveal though.
It is a great, particularly because we mentioned it.
You did?
She didn't go to. At one point, she's crying. She said, "I didn't go to NYU. I went to Hofstra."
Yep.
Which was Adam bagging on his own university.
Yes, indeed. So throughout the film, Doug will be encouraging these ladies to get naked. And they will, because they have been contracted to make this movie that he's making with a handy cam.
I know.
Which is a little odd. Then we have this sort of angry young lady named Mary Beth, who I'll just spoiler it and reveal her name is Mary Beth Dunstan. She is the daughter of Samson and Ainsley. Well, she's the daughter of Samson, sister of Ainsley, who died in the opening credits. Then you have an older couple named Jim and Shannon. Jim is Richard Reilly, or Riley. I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
He's one of those that guy actors whom you have seen 1,000 times.
Yes.
I'm blanking on something to say he's from. He was in the second season finale of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He played Buffy's first Watcher.
Yes.
Yes. But he's definitely one of that guy actors. The second you see him, you're like, oh, him. Yeah, sure. And Shannon is Patricia Darbo?
Yes.
Yes. Who is one of that woman actresses. She was on an episode of Roseanne. Like, she's done a lot of shit. Let's see. And then, of course, you have Ben and Marcus. And that's our little tour group.
And the whole point is they got to get out. They got to get out there somehow, so that the movie can start to happen.
Exactly.
Because the movie happens in the swamp.
Exactly.
And as they're on the tour boat heading into the swamp, we get our
next. This one's not even a horror actor cameo. It's a horror genre cameo.
Yep.
This is for the people who read Fangoria. This is for the people who watch behind the scenes stuff. We get this movie's version of a Crazy Ralph, who is a man in a boat named Jack Cracker. Jack Cracker, who is telling people that the swamp is closed.
It's condemned.
The swamp is condemned. Jack Cracker's played by someone we've talked about a lot, particularly over on the Friday podcast. It's John Carl Bickler,
director of Friday the 13th, Part 7, yep. A New Blood.
Horror effects icon who has done the effects for Friday the 13th movies, Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and oh wait, Hatchet.
The one who was instrumental in getting Kane Hodder to play Jason Voorhees.
Exactly. And here he is playing
Jack Cracker.
Jack Cracker.
And the best thing, he's
establishes this through-line joke about drinking his own pee. Which you think isn't going to be a realistic joke. You think that that's just something that the Sean character is making up.
So that nobody listens to what he's saying.
Right.
No, he's crazy. He drinks his own piss.
And then he does.
And he does.
Out of a hospital urinal thingy. That
yes.
They, yeah. So, but Jack Cracker's saying, don't go out there. This is closed. Leave. So they go. So they do. They go out, and this is when it becomes the. This is when you're on the rails. It's now. There's no escaping. Everybody's gonna die.
Right. We get the origin.
Yep. The origin of Victor Crowley,
which we get in every movie.
We do, and we get an addition to it in every movie.
Yes.
In this one, we get just the bare bones origin, the hatchet-faced boy story. Which, go ahead, let us. I've been sort of dominating it, even though I said I wouldn't. Go ahead.
So Victor Crowley was born with a caul, and he was just horrid looking. Mm-hmm. So him and his dad lived away in the swamp.
Yes.
To keep Victor safe.
Yes, to keep Victor safe from normal society.
But
interestingly enough, who plays Victor Crowley? Adult Victor Crowley.
Kane Hodder.
And who plays Thomas Crowley in the flashback sequences?
Kane Hodder.
Oh yeah.
Unmakeup.
This is. I honestly can't think of many times I've seen Kane Hodder just as Kane Hodder in a film. No. I think this may be the only time. These appearances in the Hatchet movies.
He's really proud of his performance in number 2.
He should be. You should be proud of his performance here in number 1 as well.
He is. But
number 2, there's a little more hardcore emoting. The weepy Thomas Crowley in this one is not. It's not his finest moment, but it's good.
So he grows up away in this cabin in the swamp.
Yep.
But word gets out, and people from town, kids, when they go into town to pick up supplies and everything, they're mean to him. We've got the classic bullying scenario here. So on Halloween night, they come out to try to get a look at Victor Crowley.
Yes.
And they use firecrackers to throw at the wooden door and the wooden shack to try to draw him out. but the door is locked and it catches fire, and he's trapped behind the door, and he's yelling for Daddy.
And then Thomas Crowley shows up.
And then Thomas
and
Crowley
the kids run away.
and
But the house is well on fire.
And he takes the only thing he's got. He's got a hatchet.
Not really. It's an axe, folks.
You know, hatchet's
it's
only
double-bladed.
one-bladed.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a sticking point with me throughout this entire first movie. At no point does a hatchet appear in a movie called Hatchet.
It's an axe.
It's an axe.
But so he takes his hatchet.
Yes.
And he's cutting down the door.
Yes.
To get his boy out. But he doesn't know that poor Victor Crowley's face is pressed up against the door, and he hatchets poor Victor Crowley to death.
Kills his own child with a hatchet to the face. And what we then establish with that is that, unlike Jason Voorhees, unlike Michael Myers, kind of like Freddy Krueger, what we have here is a killer who is dead.
Yes.
He's a ghost. He's not alive. We establish that right from the beginning, that he's not alive, which is good. It allows us to go anywhere, and anywhere is where we'll fucking go. We get sort of a fake version of that story, as told by Sean, right before he crashes the boat.
Yes.
And once he crashes the boat, everyone has to get away somehow. And that's when we get our first taste of swamp living. As everyone is getting off of the boat, and Jim, Richard Really, gets bitten by an alligator. And that's when Mary Beth pulls a gun, shoots the fucking alligator, and everybody goes further onto the island. And that's when we get the backstory that Mary Beth is Mary Beth Dunstan, and she bought a ticket for the tour because it's cheaper than getting her own boat to go after her parents.
She's looking for her brother and her dad.
Exactly. And this is where we do get a very nice joke about her ticket being cheaper than Ben's tickets, because Ben and Marcus paid $40 a head and she paid $30, which is fun. It's a cute moment.
Way to go, Sean.
And then Mary Beth tells the actual story, and that's when we get the flashbacks, and you have almost a Scooby-Doo style moment. Where Sean, the tour guide's like, I told you earlier, the house is back there. And she's like, no, it's not. Well, how do you know? Because it's right there. Smash cut to them standing right in front of the actual Crowley house.
And
it's like, it is literally a cartoon moment where, you're now standing in front of the haunted house, and you've been standing there the whole time. It's a great little moment. Wholly not logical, but that's kind of the fun of it.
And then it's around this point that we hear the call of Victor Crowley.
Yes.
As a ghost, he spends his nights looking for his dad.
Yep.
And you can hear it, and it's actually by establishing this in this film and carrying through to the others.
Yes.
It's a great call. It's Victor Crowley is making his own ma, ma, ma.
But he's doing it himself.
Doing it himself. It's his own. And it's a call of, it's a long, mournful cry of daddy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the audio is mixed so that it's Kane Hodder and his own son mixed in.
Nice.
And it's tweaked, and the levels are, it's an effective sound.
Yes. Very, very.
As well as once Victor shows up on scene, he does a lot of growling, which is mixed with bears and lions and Kane growling.
Yes, yes. So once we establish his call and we realize that everybody's in sight of the house. At this point, we're on the rails. It's murder time.
It's
okay.
It's mayhem and murder.
Yes. Like Richard Raley, Jim gets chopped open with an axe, not a hatchet. Shannon gets her head ripped open at the jaw as she's trying to run away from Victor Crowley. Everybody kind of scatters. From there, we have the smartest man in the whole movie, Marcus, who runs up a fucking tree and doesn't want to come down from the fucking tree.
Nope.
And I don't blame him. Shapiro gets his head twisted around.
Yes.
Like just spun 360. In sort of the most gruesome version of that I think I've ever seen in a horror movie. Because I've seen that before.
Yes.
But it's gruesome here. The group is pretty much just wandering around in circles. They end up back at the Crowley house. They go into a shack. They find the bodies of Sampson and Ainsley. And then this is when we get the introduction of the gas-powered belt sander. The gas-powered belt sander is real, aside from Victor Crowley, is the only character which appears in all 4 films.
I mean,
not true. But yeah,
I understand that he took a hatchet to the face and everything, but the name of this movie should be Belt Sander.
It should, because he uses this gas-powered belt sander in all 4 films.
Like,
at no point in any of the 4 films does he actually pick up a fucking hatchet. 2. He does, in Hatchet 2, in one scene, use a hatchet. The rest of the film, it's an axe. So Jen gets her face belt sanded off.
Yes.
Sean gets his head chopped off with a shovel. Let's see. Okay. Ben pitchforks Crowley so that they can run away, and then suggested that they go back to the Crowley shed because he saw gasoline in there, and if they take the gas, they can burn him. So they go back to the shed. Misty's supposed to be doing deep lookout, and Mary Beth and Marcus are on lookout.
Yeah.
But what they miss is that Misty gets her head chopped off. Off screen, we don't even see it.
I like my note there.
Yeah.
Because Misty is torn apart and then used as weapons.
Yes, she gets hurled at them.
Like her head hits Mary Beth Dunstan's head.
Yes. And they manage to get the gas and then pour it on Victor, and they light Victor on fire in the shed, and he's ablaze. And then it fucking starts raining.
And I totally
I mean like torrential raining.
And I totally buy this because when I was 9, I went to New Orleans, and it'll suddenly rained torrentially, and then was fine. By setting it there, it's
believable.
In a movie where we do all these crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to set it here so this one thing is totally believable, so you buy it.
Yep.
I mean, I love you, Adam Green.
And this is where we have one of my favorite recurring moments.
The catchphrase?
The catchphrase. This is the catchphrase of the franchise. And it, I don't remember if I wrote in my notes where it appears in Victor Crowley, the 4th movie. But I know where it appears in all 3 of the first Hatchets. And it appears right here as the rain starts pouring down. And it is...
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
This time it is said by Ben. So they run. They run fast and they run far, and they end up in a graveyard. Getting away from Victor Crowley in a graveyard. The graveyard's got to be near a road, right? Sure. So they run to the gate. The gate is locked. And that is when Victor Crowley catches up to them. Marcus gets his arms ripped off and his head splattered.
Poor Marcus.
Right. Ben gets a gate pole through his foot. And he manages to bend it down so that when Crowley is running toward him, he impales Victor Crowley on it. In the slowest run-up to attack someone in the history of film.
In the history of slow-up
Right.
run-ups.
So, having now impaled Crowley on this fence thing, Ben and Mary Beth go and find a boat and start rowing away.
Yes.
But this is an homage to a Friday the 13th movie. Do you think getting in a boat is a good idea?
No. Also because,
Also, it started
that's the
with
whole
a boat murder.
This is the whole motif of this movie. Get out the damn boat. Don't get in a boat.
Right. So in what is a direct homage to Friday 1, Victor Crowley jumps out of the water and pulls Mary Beth in. And Mary Beth kind of starts falling down into the water. And she starts trying to pull herself out.
She's getting there.
She's getting there. She sees a hand come out of the water. It's Ben's hand.
Ben's
Everything's
hand.
great. She grabs Ben's hand. Ben is pulling her out of the water. Except that while she was in the water, Victor Crowley ripped Ben's fucking arm off and is holding it so he can pull her out of the water. Yeah. And it ends. The movie just ends.
Just ends.
With Ben with his arm ripped off, writhing in pain in the boat, and Mary Beth being lifted into the air.
Boom. It's
End
a
of movie.
It's a huge tense moment.
Boom.
Boom.
End of movie.
What? No. Come on now. And
That is Hatchet, ladies and gentlemen. Smash cut to horror speed metal credits.
And if
Movie
that's
over.
all there was, it'd have been fine.
I don't know that it would have been.
I don't know.
I feel like it needs 2 and 3 to make it redeemed. This is sort of my take. The quality of the films get better.
Yes.
Right? The first movie feels like a student art film. It doesn't have a full 3-act structured plot. It isn't edited very well. It isn't structured well at all. It feels like it was made as a thesis to graduate film school. The second movie feels like it was made for television. The third movie feels like a movie. And the fourth movie feels like a movie. So you really need to flesh it out more before it satisfies me, because this didn't do it. I would not have watched number 2 having just seen number 1. I would not have watched number 1 a second time. So yeah. If there wasn't a franchise and we weren't recording it, this podcast right now, I wouldn't have watched these movies.
See, I totally do these movies.
See, that's where you and I are different,
I
sir.
will watch them.
Yeah.
I don't need a reason.
Right.
I do, however, like to space out my viewings.
To say the least. Yeah.
Like once a year. I don't maybe.
You watch these once a fucking year?
Let's see.
These are terrible.
First time I've maybe not fully once, because I've seen Hatchet now
Ugh.
5 times.
Ugh.
And the first time was in 11. It's now 18. So okay, it's not once a year, but
Still, dude. Still, that's.
I've watched number 4 5 times since you got it for me for Christmas.
It's September. You've only had it for 10 months.
Yeah, and not even that.
Not even, because it didn't arrive in time for Christmas.
No, because it arrived in March. But yeah, I've watched it 5 times.
Jesus.
Uh,
Jesus, sir.
3 of those have been with the commentary, because it's just a fun commentary.
Fair enough.
Um,
So, I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to lead us into best kill, worst kill. Because that's all that's really here. That's the substance here. It's about the kills. So, what is the best kill for you?
my best kill is the Shannon head rip.
ripping open? Yeah, same here. I think that's everybody's. It's impressively done.
It is.
It's the most grotesquely realistic effect in the entire film.
And a large extra feature on the Blu-ray DVD is devoted to it.
Gotcha. Worst kill.
Worst kill is Misty because I don't see it.
Right. Okay. Yes, and that's fair. In the Crystal Lake series, I did do a bunch of off-screen kills, are my least favorites. I actually said the worst kill was Sean's beheading because it's pretty lame.
Yeah.
But that would definitely be the worst on-screen kill.
Yeah.
Is there a plot? Is there a financial corner to the Hatchet movies? Is that a thing we can even do? Because these are limited release films.
This was limited release. Number 2 was a major release through AMC.
Right.
But was only in theaters for 2 days.
And only in AMC theaters.
Yes.
So it's not a. It's limited releases.
This movie in its run domestic, because that's all we've been doing, made
Right.
around 100,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not where this movie was ever targeted to make money. Anyways, it was always meant to be,
Like
video.
this movie has made its money off of.
People like you who bought it on VHS, and bought it on DVD and then bought it on Blu-ray.
Well, I didn't. You bought it on DVD. I just watched your copy each time.
Wait, so you didn't even have?
I didn't even have it.
Oh. Oh shit! Oh, that's why you were waiting on the Blu-rays so that you could watch them. Because I had the DVD.
Yeah.
If you just said that to me, I'd have just given you the DVD.
Yeah, but then I wanted.
Because you had 4. If I'd just given you 1 and 2,
Yeah, but then we still had to get 3.
Right.
So
but we could have waited on 3.
Yeah, but
All
so
right,
then I just
fair enough.
then I just bought 1, 2, and 3, so I could have the complete collection signed.
Well, now you have the complete signed collection, and yeah.
But this movie made its money off of direct media sales.
Yes.
And whatever you make through Netflix and streaming.
Cable residual deals.
Yes.
Yeah. And it obviously was enough because it generated a sequel.
Yes.
Which was granted a bigger budget than the first movie. So obviously, these things made money, or at least made its budget back.
Yes.
Sufficiently enough that it was worth investing in a second one. And a second one we will get.
And Adam has just announced that number 4
is not the last
it's
one.
not the
I
last
was
one.
gonna save this.
Since we were talking about financials.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Gotcha.
Because the direct reason is number 4 made enough money.
Yeah.
He has said since it came out, and we'll get into the story of number 4 when we do number 4 because it's got a fun little story.
It does.
If it makes enough money, then we can continue on with 5 and 6, because he's got 5 and 6 charted
mapped out. And that's the announcement I saw that I was going to bring up, is that he was talking about this at a con last weekend. In fact,
Yep.
He was talking about how he has a plan, and he's not rushing 5.
No.
But he has a plan for 5 and 6 that allows for more Victor Crowley, which I know makes you happy. I don't know that it makes me happy per se.
For me, anything that Adam does makes me happy.
Right.
I still have to pick up Digging Up the Marrow.
Right. And frankly, I would prefer a way to get a 3rd season of Holliston more than more than a 5th.
He's been
Hatchet
He's
movie.
been trying.
I know. Well, final thoughts on Hatchet 1.
This isn't deep like any of the Fridays.
God no.
This isn't.
Wait, did you just imply that the
sorry.
Friday movies are deep?
Sorry, I meant.
Sorry.
And it is. It's not deep like any of the Fridays.
No, it's not.
It's
which is
definitely-
why I was agreeing with it. It's definitely not as deep as a Friday movie, but
And
please don't imply depth where none exists.
And it's not as deep or as imagerific as a Nightmare.
Certainly not.
It's not genre defining like Halloween.
No, not at all.
But what it is it's fun.
It is a fun little showcase of some really good gore effects and some well planned kills.
Well planned kills and things that play about later and somebody who understands the genre.
Yes. Oh, very much so.
Both the horror side and the lighter side.
Yes. Very much.
It's a nice little fun movie made by somebody who grew up
watching these movies.
From the 80s.
Yeah, sure. And that's what gives it its charm. I'll grant that. It is a charming movie, but I'm still not sold on this as a franchise. It's not for me. Maybe number 2 will change that. Spoilers, folks. Number 2 will not change that.
you see,
maybe number 3 will change that. Actually, maybe number 3 will change that.
There's some interesting changes that come about in number 3.
And some interesting changes that come about in number 2, and we will talk about that next week when we come back to talk about Hatchet 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I've been Patrick J. Blanchard.
And I've been Matthew J. Blanchard. We have been the Brothers Blanchard, and this has been
Honey Island Swamp Tours.